There are quite a few variations in the use of grammar between the inner circle countries, that is, the native English speaking countries, and the outer or expanding circle countries, that is, the non native English speaking countries. These variations are common to many different varieties of English used in the outer and expanding circle countries. We'll take a look at some of these grammatical features and compare them with native English models. There are three important grammatical features linked with the use of nouns in English. All these features have got to do with the use of articles with the nouns. In English, we use articles with nouns to indicate whether a noun is specific or generic. We also use articles in distinctive ways to perform different functions, pragmatic functions with countable and uncountable nouns. Similarly, we use articles in different ways with singular or plural nouns. In terms of the use of articles to indicate whether an object is specific or non-specific, we use an article or some other determiner. For example, this, that, any, many, all, etc. The use of the articles or determiners indicates whether the noun is specific or non-specific. When we use articles with nouns, we use them to perform a number of functions. These functions may be grammatical or these may be pragmatic functions. In terms of rules for the use of articles, we have this rule in English grammar that a singular countable noun must always be preceded by an article or a determiner, more often an article than a determiner. So we use a or an with a singular countable noun to indicate the generic nature of an object. And this object could be a thing, a human being, a place, etc. So we use the indefinite article a or an with a singular countable noun. And a countable noun, as you might know, is a noun which can have a plural. So, table is a countable noun because we have its plural tables. Girl is a countable noun because we have its plural girls. Camera is a countable noun, so on and so forth. Whereas an uncountable noun or a mass noun is a noun which cannot have a plural. For example, water is an uncountable noun, milk is an uncountable noun, hair is an uncountable noun. So uncountable nouns do not make plurals. In English, a singular countable noun, for example, when you say girl, table, pen, camera, pencil, a singular countable noun is always preceded by an indefinite article, that is a or an, and in some cases can also be preceded by the definite article, that is the. When you use the indefinite article a or an, the indefinite articles a or an with a noun, you use them to indicate the generic nature of the object. For example, a horse runs fast. When we say a horse runs fast, we do not mean a specific horse, but any horse in the world or all horses in the world. So this is a very general sentence. We can generalize this sentence, and the generic nature of this sentence is indicated by the use of the indefinite article a. On the other hand, we use the article the with both singular and plural countable nouns to indicate the specific nature of the noun. For example, the boys are naughty. When you say the boys are naughty, you do not mean all the boys in the world. You are talking about a specific number of boys, a specific group of boys, or the boys that you and the person you're talking to know about. Similarly, the boys are tall. The boys are tall again the article the is indicating the specific nature of the boys. With with mass nouns, that is uncountable nouns, also we use the article the to indicate the specific nature of the noun. For example, when you say the water in the glass is cold, you do not mean all the water in the world, but only the small amount of water in the glass. Variations occur in outer circle and expanding circle Englishes in the use of articles, because in many languages in the world, many languages which are natively used by the inhabitants of outer circle countries, we do not have a grammatical element which is comparable with the English article the, or an. English articles. Because of this reason, the outer circle speakers of English, they have difficulty in the use of articles when they speak English. And it is because of the interference of their first languages, because they are not used to using such a particle, such a grammatical element in their first languages. They have difficulty adopting the use of the article when they speak English. Although we have this rule in English that a singular countable noun never occurs without an article or a determiner, so it is a never. However, the outer circle English speakers do not seem to take notice of this rule and continue using the countable nouns without articles. The variations occur also because the choice of the articles in English is not constant or is not consistent. It keeps varying depending on the context. So we have sentences like he owns a car, which is grammatically perfectly correct. And then we have sentences like he owns the car, which is again grammatically perfectly correct. Now, what is the difference? The difference is because of the context in which these sentences are used. When you say he owns a car, you do not mean any specific car. You mean he owns a car, it could be any car in the world. But when you say he owns the car, you probably already have a particular car in mind, or maybe you and some other person is talking about that particular car, and you add to the knowledge of your interlocutor by providing this information that, for example, Ali owns the car, or to show that this car belongs to Ali, or he owns the car. He could be anybody. So in this case, the car is specific. The variations occur because we have rules in English, as we say all the time, but then there are as many exceptions to the rule. One of the exceptions in the use of articles is the use of the article the with a word like poor, blind, homeless, etc., which are usually adjectives, to indicate an entire group, to refer to an entire group of people or things. For example, we must be kind to the poor. When you make a sentence like this, you mean the poor people in the world, any poor people in the world, as a generic group. So you mean that we must be kind to all the poor in the world, or we must be kind to the homeless, we must be kind to the blind, we must be helpful to the blind, etc. So it is because of these variations in the rules of the use of articles in English that result in the variations by the use of articles by speakers in the outer circle countries. Here we have some of the examples which are authentic examples from the use of articles, or in actually non-use of articles by outer circle speakers of English. For example, everyone owns car. I hope you can identify the mistake here. Everyone owns a car. As we have said earlier, in English you cannot use a countable singular noun without an article. So everyone owns a car is a general sentence to mean that everyone, maybe in this locality, in this city, possesses a car, is the owner of a car. Girls look very pretty today. We can use plural countable nouns again to indicate the generic nature of the item. But when you say girls look very pretty, you cannot mean that all the girls in the world look very pretty today. You, of course, means a particular group of girls. Therefore, the use of the is required here. Similarly, I'm staying in one house with black gate. All the articles are missing here. One mistake is that one is used to refer to a specific house. So it should have been, I live in the house with a black gate. So we see there are so many variations in the use of articles in the outer circle Englishes because of the variations that we find in the use of articles in English grammar.